Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Burak Yenyer. I'm one of the co-founders at UberCloud. Welcome to our webinar today. We will be talking about NCMS's Michigan 2.0 initiative, and we will also introduce you to the UberCloud Experiment. Today with me, I have Danielle Jones from NCMS. I will quickly turn it over to Danielle to introduce herself and the Michigan 2.0 initiative, and then I will introduce you to the UberCloud Experiment. Danielle? Danielle, we can't hear you. Could you check the mute on your phone, please? Hello, Danielle. Can you hear me? We're having a little bit of problem with the voice this morning, but let's give Danielle one more second. I'm going to do sound check with a couple more of our attendees. Let me reach out to Doug here. Doug, can you hear me okay? So maybe none of the attendees can
Hey,
hear me.
Barack, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, you know what? My phone kicked me off. I'm sorry, everybody, and then I had to call back in. So now you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can. It's all yours.
Okay, let me start over. Okay,
Okay.
I'd already gotten through part of it. No one heard anything. So let me start over again. Thank you, everybody, for calling in. I'm sorry about my phone issue. My name is Danielle Jones, and I'm the Business Development Manager at NCMS. I have worked and talked to a lot of you on the call today, either with different projects that we've been doing at NCMS or the survey that we just did in Michigan in November. My goal is to help small, medium-sized manufacturers in any way that I can, whether it's with case studies or training or connecting you to the right resources. We started with a project in November 2013 to survey Michigan manufacturers. We surveyed 7,800. We got feedback from about 5%, which was great for an emailed survey. And we were looking to find challenges and problems that you're having in your business and ways that we could help you. My goal is to really use the manufacturer to help determine what those solutions are. And that's part of what we're trying to do today. Something that we've been able to do here and there are some case studies with making sure that you are getting access to digital tools that you may not have access to in your business, and see if that's helpful in what you're doing. And we've done a few of them through the state of Michigan. And now partnering with UberCloud, we're looking to be able to help you with case studies in a different way, and see if there's a good fit for you. So I'm going to turn it back over to Barack to keep going, but that's a little bit about what we're doing at NCMS. And as always, if you have any concerns, questions, ways that you think that I can help you, please let me know.
Excellent. Danielle, thank you so much for that introduction. And today we are a very small hand-selected group. Danielle did a lot of work to reach out to all of you guys and understand your needs, make sure that the UberCloud experiments are in our opinion, a good fit. And today's call is to see if you buy into that as well. So we are a very small group, as I said. So please feel free to interrupt at any second. You have a question bar on your right in the GoToWebinar control panel. You can use the question bar to send me a question, and I will be watching for your questions so I can just stop and address them. And at the very end, we have a Q&A section as well. Okay, so brief introduction about myself. My name is Burak Yenier. I'm the co-founder of UberCloud. My background is industrial engineering, so I have maybe 5% mechanical engineer in me somewhere. I have been in software development and data center management throughout my career. So I can say my background is in computing. When we look at the computing tools that engineers have today, we see three main options. Obviously, the most popular are the workstations. These are getting more and more powerful. That's good news. And many times what we hear from our partners in business is that although these workstations are a great way to get started, they may not have enough capacity. We'll talk about that in just a second. Um, the one step up from that could be some sort of a server environment. Server environments get categorized into workgroup servers, departmental servers, enterprise grade servers, and we will talk about the pluses and minuses of those. And more recently, we are seeing cloud computing to be an interesting opportunity as well. Cloud is not necessarily a new idea, although it's a new name. Um, all we're talking about here is you are working on rented computing capacity rather than owning it and having to host it internally. Let's take a little deeper look at these approaches. What we very often see in engineering simulations is that workstations tend to be slow because of their limited capacity. Here we have to keep in mind that the computing power is really a tool for the engineer. So if the tool isn't a good fit for the job, it's really not really helping your business. Many times when I talk to my partners, I hear things like, "Well, the simulation usually takes about 2 days, and once we get to the end of that 2 day period, we check our variables and then we run it again." And I I almost don't want to ask them. So, what are your engineers doing for those 2 days? Well, anyways, so let's move along and look at the server side. We see that those are often expensive and complex, although they offer great productivity gains in the engineering front. I hear a bit of resistance about the IT groups having to maintain these larger boxes. I'm not even talking about the capital expenditure that's also associated with these environments. So when it comes to the cloud, well, it's a new paradigm. So people worry about things like security. Well, how about the licensing for my software tools? What do I do with data transfers? My files are large. So is it going to take days for me to upload and download? And oh, by the way, I really don't know a whole lot about cloud. So, it's just a new thing. Um, let's talk a little bit more about UberCloud Experiment, and we'll start tying these all together. Um, we launched UberCloud back in 2012 as a volunteer effort, and our goal was to find out that what are the challenges, first of all, for cloud in the technical computing arena, and demonstrate that there's a potential that engineers, given all the right circumstances, engineers can get great productivity gains out of using the cloud, and their companies can uh, gain advantages in terms of competitiveness. We soon after we launched, we saw a great deal of interest from our community. We have over 1,000 participants today. It helps if I talk a little bit about who those participants are. We have many data center providers, call them cloud providers for the lack of a better term. There are about 50 of them on board. We have 80 software providers. So there's a chance that we're already familiar with some of the software tools that you make use of today or you're planning to make use of. So that's a positive. And if your software provider is not yet on the UberCloud platform, then we are more than happy to talk to them because we've already done that over 80 times, and we'd be more than happy to pull them into the UberCloud experiment. The third leg of the stool. So let's say we have the computing power. That's one leg. The software is the other leg. The third leg is always the expertise. We understand that you have a business to run. You have all sorts of manufacturing challenges. You have technical challenges, and you don't need another one. So you need people to help you through the effort that's required to do a test, to understand how these tools can help you, and we have the experts on board to help you with those. And again, being a volunteer effort, these experts offer their expertise free of charge during the experiments. So we have done about 150 of these experiments to date, and we are quite selective. We just can't take every project that comes about. First of all, we make sure projects are not academic in nature, so it's not just curiosity. There's some business drive behind it. There's a need. There's a documented need, and that we also make sure that the project has a good chance for success, meaning um, the company's interested, they have the resources to work on it, and they are willing to succeed in that project. We help them with the scope, obviously, to make sure it has a relevant scope as well. What we do every year is we publish a collection of these case studies, and at the end of this presentation, you will see a link, and it will take you to the 2013 version of that, where you can find 25 different case studies, and you can maybe find some inspiration in some of those. Um, let me let me explain a little bit further about why this experiment is important. There are multiple initiatives out there in the market. Intel, NCMS, definitely definitely carrying the flag. Um, Everyone talks about this missing middle. I know that's not a word that you guys hear often, but we always talk about the missing middle in computing, where large corporations have access to computing resources and software of their own because they can afford it. The very small companies, mom and pop shops, they just do it on their workstations, on their laptops, and it's enough for them. But how about all the companies in the somewhere in the middle? The desktop computers are not enough, but buying their own hardware and software is just not economic. So how do we help those companies become more competitive? And our observation was that this rental option, cloud computing, is interesting, and it's becoming widely accepted for things like email and databases and whatnot. But it just wasn't gaining enough popularity in simulation in industries such as computer-aided engineering. So we started digging down and we found what the barriers were. And through the UberCloud Experiments, we are finding solutions to each of those problems on a one-on-one basis with our project teams. Now, you as the end user group play a very critical role in that experiment workflow. Every project, as I said, starts with a project that has some sort of a economic reason behind it, and that can only be driven by an end user. In our terminology, all of you guys are end users of HPC Experiment. The second important aspect is getting the software. ISV is simply independent software vendor. We bring them into project teams. They get visibility into what your project is all about, and what we have observed is they take great pride in helping companies and launch with their software. So usually we get very good support from our ISVs. The next group are the team experts. Um, I, I will stop right here. Bob asked a good question. An ISV is an independent software vendor, Bob. I hope that helps. Um, so the next group is the team experts group. The team experts are people who understand computing, as well as we have in that expert group people who understand computation for manufacturing. So they could be fluid dynamics experts, they could be finite element analysis experts, and these are people who are willing to help on a volunteer basis to get your project up and running. Now, granted, people's time is never free. So what they tell us is they tell us what their limitations are. Well, I can only donate up to 2 hours a week, and we are very open to letting the projects go at the pace of um, the combination of the team members. So there you will feel in during the UberCloud experiments that there's really no time pressure. What we make sure of, though, is that there is always forward momentum. It's very easy to get lost and lose interest in the project. So what we do at UberCloud is we follow the projects and we make sure that you have the right team members and resources, and then you keep going. Um, the the next step after we assign an expert is to find a resource provider. The resource providers, as the name suggests, they provide the compute resources for the projects. Again, the compute resources are donated, so you would not be paying for the computer time for the experimentation either. Once your team is ready to go, we have a virtual team office. We refer to it as Basecamp. Within Basecamp, we attach all the team members together. You get your own private space for your project. All the team members can see each other's work and comments and files and whatnot, so they can collaborate. However, you are separated from those other, 150 other project teams which are going on. So uh, this tool has been proven to be priceless. Once the experimentation is complete, we request the team members to come together and write a case study. Now, this is a very important aspect about UberCloud. We want to learn from our collective mistakes and findings, so that the next set of companies that come along the same path, they can rely on your learnings and go a little bit faster and hopefully have a less challenging time. And when I talked about the 25 case studies that you could download, that's exactly where all that information came from. The teams basically sat down and wrote their own case studies, and we just combined them all into one. I will let you folks have access to this presentation afterwards. We have a list of uh, let's say key items that you can use for driving your project to success. And here's a quick view of what the Basecamp collaboration platform looks like. Literally, every step is written down, and each of those steps have a two-paragraph explanation as to how to go through that step. Um, when you read them, they are mostly quite easy to understand, but we made sure that there's further documentation. If you feel like you're getting lost, there's help. So I will take the next 5 minutes or so to walk through a team presentation. This team presentation was prepared by members of Team 8. I want you guys to get a little feel for the nature of experiments that we work on, and you will feel most likely that this project looks nothing like a free project, but let's go through it. So the end user of this project was FL Smith. The software provider was a company called Ansys. Probably heard about them. Bull was the computer resource provider. Extreme Factory is their brand. Science and Computing was the expertise provider on this project. FL Smith is a supplier of equipment for the minerals and cement industry. They're a sizable organization, and they're in the business of creating machines and these complete, let's say, flow systems um, for mining and cement companies. So they deal with a lot of heavy machinery, and you can see where computing fits into that. Um, the application that they selected was one of their flash dryers. This is a massive piece of equipment. It takes multiple tons of slush, and when the slush enters the equipment, it has about 21% of moisture, and by the time it leaves it, it has about 6%. So there's a lot of physics involved in this type of a machinery, and that's what they wanted to simulate. They told me during one of the webinars, you can see the two jets at the top. Those are about 1.5 meter in diameter each. So this is a pretty good size machine. So what they have been doing is they have been using an in-house machine, an in-house computing cluster for the simulations. Um, Being a good size organization, they could afford their own. This is a pretty good machine, and they when they ran their simulations of about 1.4 million cells, it took them 5 days to run through one simulation cycle. And they really don't want that machinery to break down in the field. So the simulations are important to them. That's why we were attracted to this project. And we paired FL Smith with Bull Supercomputer with their Extreme Factory project. They are based in Europe, um, and here's what the team thought after the few months that they spent on their project. Here's what they said on their documentation. They went through and found the data upload was easy. They had an intuitive web interface, and they ran into certain challenges as well, and they were able to work through those and get these benefits. Um, they um, they reduced the simulation time from 5 days to just under 2 days. So there you have it. That's a benefit of 3 extra days that the engineers can spend on their product performance increases, and run the simulation over and over multiple times. And oh, by the way, the benefit of the cloud is you could also run multiple simulations in parallel. In this case, they did not. However, in their internal environment, they would be limited to one simulation. which would take 5 days. In the cloud, if they had the necessary budget for it, they could run two of these simulations side by side in under 2 days, and that would reduce their overall turnaround time to 1 day, in effect. Um, it was important to them that they could view the results of the simulation remotely on the cluster, because the simulation generated so much data. They just did not want to download all of that and wait for the download time. So they were able to prove internally that when they did the remote visualization, they also got pretty good results. They were able to see their data in 3D and change the parameters and run it all over again. Um, Here are some lessons learned. At the end of the presentation, again, there's a link to a PowerPoint. Well, I think it's a PDF, for a PDF document, which goes into a lot more depth about this use case, which you can download and read. And the software vendor Ansys also posted it on their website as a case study. So I'm going to take a pause here. I think we can take your questions at this time. If you would like to type your question, go ahead. If you raise your hand, I can also unmute your microphone. We are a very small group here. We can take your questions verbally as well. And if the question is not something that you would like to share during this live webinar, you can always email Danielle, and we will take your questions after the webinar as well. There are a couple of questions that that are coming in, and one of those, and this is a very common question, what about the software list? What are the list of software products that you have access to, and can we go through that? First of all, the answer is yes. However, first of all, it makes sense to mention that you should not get discouraged if you don't see your software on that list. It is very common that we come across new software titles that are literally thousands of engineering softwares out there, and there's no way UberCloud will be working with all those providers. However, we are not shy about knocking on the ISV's doors and asking them if they would like to participate, and many times the answer is a strong yes. So the answer to the question is the software titles are all available on the UberCloud website. Again, that website is www.theubercloud, all one word, THE UberCloud.com. And if you go to the footer, you'll see a link to all the software titles. I will also send an email to the group so that everyone can see what the software titles are. Another question, again, related to software vendors. If a new ISV is required, who will coordinate the license, etc., with the ISV? And that's one thing that UberCloud does really well. So software vendors, understand how UberCloud works. We created our internal mechanisms to fit their needs. So when we reach out to them, we explain to them how the licensing works within UberCloud. To you, the license will be no cost, and we work with the ISV on the background of that. Sometimes they need certain agreements to be signed, etc., and we help them go through all of that. I got a question here about a specific ISV, which is Siemens. We did work with Siemens in the past. It is not one that we work very frequently with, but again, we would be very happy to knock on their door and say, here's the software title we need, and here's the company which would like to work on that as an experiment and help you set that up. Okay, let's see. I get this question frequently as well. So what kind of hardware is available? Um, the good news is you don't have to worry about that, but I will answer the question anyway. The hardware that's available for use of UberCloud projects comes from over 50 resource providers. They are primarily in three groups. Some of them are companies which are basically in the business of selling hardware, and many of them have rental type of computing equipment as well. So we work with them. Um, the other group of resource providers have uh, access to hardware through university relationships. Um, just about every state in the U.S. has a university with a um, let's say, National Science Foundation or Department of Defense funded computer equipment, and some of those are available for UberCloud as well. So the reason why I said you don't have to worry about it is because there's enough hardware to go around for all of our projects. This question comes up a lot too. How about the security of information? This is an important point. We request our end users that they select a project which they feel comfortable sharing. So if you selected your next hot product development for your project, you're going to be very sensitive about sharing information regarding it. We think that would not be a good fit. There will be multiple parties involved, and many of them will be volunteers. So going through non-disclosure agreements, etc., is it is possible. However, we don't encourage it. So the best way to tackle the um, privacy of your information is to make sure that you share a model which you are comfortable with sharing. Questions come about this quite a bit. The the reports that come out at the end, whether your name has to be all over that report or not. If your organization is very tight-lipped about sharing this type of information, we are happy to call your organization, for example, a car parts manufacturer located in Michigan. That would work out instead of using your company name directly. Danielle, let me pause here. Did you have any questions or anything you wanted to add?
No, actually, although when you mentioned Siemens, I have a meeting after this with Siemens, so I can mention to my contact there as well that there may be a company interested in using UberCloud that way. So,
Excellent.
Barack, I can start that process. And also, just any questions that you have, if not right now, but you think of later, or you do want to participate and you want to get started, just contact me and we'll get the ball rolling.
And here's the few links which I commented that I would share. Again, you will have access to the PowerPoint slides, and these will be live links, so you don't have to start writing these down. Um, the first one is a PDF about the FL Smith project I talked about. There are 25 more of them in the next link, and you're more than welcome to contact Danielle to create your project. However, we have a link for that too if you want to come in and fill out a form. We will share the information between NCMS and UberCloud. You can contact either one of us. I think I have one more question that just came in. All right, this came from Gregory. What is the ultimate goal of the experiment? The ultimate goal of the experiment is to make sure, given the right circumstances, you can have access to compute power and the software that's necessary to take your business forward. We understand that companies that are in the missing middle, they need the hardware and the software resources to be more innovative, to simulate the next product that they are developing, reduce the failure rates, increase the quality of their products. However, the way the economics of computing and software is set up today, that might that might prove to be quite difficult. So we just want to show that there are options out there, and throughout the process, the goal of all the providers who are donating their compute capacity, their software, their expertise is that if you want to get into a commercial relationship with them going forward, that's also available. So we just want to help you find the right options and to show you that these options are out there. I hope that answers your question, Gregory. Okay, so I will give everyone one more minute just in case there is one last question that I can tackle, and after that we will close. If you come up with any questions after this webinar, you can contact Danielle, and she knows where to find me. And just check your email probably towards the end of today. We'll be able to send this presentation deck over to you. And hopefully, if we will see you create your UberCloud experiments, and we will get a chance to work with you closely. Danielle, anything you would like to add?
No, just a thank you to Brock and also to all of you for calling in. I know everybody's busy and it takes time out of your day, and I appreciate you being on the call, and hopefully we can work together.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Danielle.